Chosen one, listen carefully. I am not speaking to everyone today. This message is urgent, sacred, and highly specific. If you do not walk the path of God, if your heart is not aligned with His voice, this message will not stay with you. But if you are a true follower, if you have felt the quiet pull of purpose in your spirit, then understand this clearly. This message found you at the exact moment it was meant to. Not early, not late, perfectly timed. God said you are not watching this by accident. You are not just part of the story. You are the key to His master plan. He has been moving pieces silently, shaping events behind the curtain, and you stand at the center of what He is about to unlock. What you have questioned for years is now being answered. Stay with me till the end, because what you are about to hear will bring clarity to confusion, peace to your restlessness, and strength to the part of you that has been quietly carrying too much for too long. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon so you don't miss what God is releasing here, and share this message with other chosen ones who need it, and comment 777 in the comments to declare that you are aligned with God's divine plan and ready for what He is unfolding now. Section 2. God never builds a master plan without a key. Chosen one, let me speak to you slowly here, because this truth is not meant to rush past your spirit. God is not a God of chaos. He is not guessing. He is not reacting. Everything He does begins with intention, structure, and completion in the spiritual realm long before you ever see movement in the natural. When God speaks of a master plan, He is not referring to a hope or a possibility. He is speaking of something already established, already accounted for, already finished in His mind. And here is what many people never understand. God never builds a master plan without a key. A plan without a key is only an idea. A door without a key remains locked, no matter how powerful the promise behind it is. God does not design locked futures and then hope someone figures out how to open them. He prepares the key first, always. That is where you come in, not because you are perfect, not because you are flawless, not because you have always been confident, but because you are precise. And God values precision more than performance. You see, chosen one, keys are not chosen for how impressive they look. They are chosen for how accurately they fit. A key does not need to be loud. It does not need attention. It only needs alignment. And when alignment meets timing, everything changes quietly and permanently. Many chosen ones struggle at this stage because they were taught to believe that God's plan is something far away, something mysterious, something that may or may not involve them directly. That belief creates distance between you and purpose. It makes you feel like you are watching life instead of participating in it. But God never intended for you to be a spectator to His work. He intended for you to be an activator within it. Let me say something that may settle your spirit. You are not waiting on God as much as you think. Much of what feels like waiting is positioning. God is not withholding the plan. He is aligning the key. A key that is even slightly misaligned cannot turn the lock. It may look right. It may feel close. But close is not enough. God does not operate in almost. He operates in exactness. That is why your life required seasons of adjustment that felt unnecessary at the time. That is why certain paths were interrupted. That is why some opportunities dissolved just as you were getting comfortable. Those moments were not setbacks. They were recalibrations. Think about your own journey honestly. Your life has never followed a straight, predictable line. You have had starts and stops, progress and pauses, momentum and stillness. You questioned why things did not move faster, smoother, or more clearly. But now you are beginning to see something deeper. God was not delaying you, He was shaping you. Keys are cut carefully. One wrong edge, one rushed moment, and the key breaks inside the lock. God does not rush keys. This is why comparison drains you. You were never meant to measure your timing against someone else's assignment. Their door responds to a different key. Their season does not define yours. When you compare, you are judging precision by speed. And speed has never been God's priority. God's master plan is not driven by urgency. It is driven by alignment. Many chosen ones feel overlooked because they do not see immediate results. They think visibility equals value, but God values function over recognition. Keys often remain unnoticed until the moment they are needed most. And when that moment comes, everything depends on them. This is why God often chooses people who feel misunderstood, people who think deeply, people who sense responsibility before they see opportunity, people who carry a quiet seriousness they cannot explain. That seriousness is not heaviness. It is awareness. You were aware long before others were ready to understand. You sensed things shifting before there was evidence. You felt responsibility without a title. You carried concern without permission. That is not coincidence. That is a key being formed. God does not give keys to everyone. He gives them to those who can be trusted with access. Access changes people. Authority exposes character. That is why God dealt with your heart before he dealt with your position. He allowed humility to develop before influence arrived. He allowed self-reflection to grow before leadership emerged. Pride breaks keys. Ego jams locks. God protects his plan by shaping his vessels deeply. You may not realize it, but your life required integrity before expansion. That is why shortcuts never worked for you. That is why things you tried to force fell apart. That is why quick wins never lasted. God would not allow you to succeed in ways that would damage your future alignment. This is important. God does not improvise solutions. He prepares people. When the moment comes, he does not scramble for answers. He releases what he already refined. That means your current season is not random. The thoughts you have been having lately are not accidental. The sense that something is shifting is not imagination. It is awareness catching up with reality. You may feel a quiet readiness forming, not excitement, not fear, just a steady knowing. That is alignment settling in. But let me caution you here, do not rush. Keys are most powerful when they are still. Movement comes after alignment, not before. God is not asking you to do more. He is asking you to be positioned in trust, positioned in obedience, positioned in patience. When positioning is complete, movement becomes natural. This is why forcing things exhausts you. This is why chasing doors drains your spirit. You were never meant to knock down doors. You were meant to open the right one, and the right one responds without resistance. Let me speak to the pressure you may be feeling. That pressure is not from God. God does not rush his keys. He reassures them. He stabilizes them. He reminds them who they are before he uses them. Anxiety comes when you try to unlock doors God never assigned you to open. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You are being held until the exact moment when your presence shifts everything quietly and completely. God works in silence more than spectacle. He fulfills promises without panic. He completes plans without noise. Look back at what you survived, not emotionally, but structurally. Things that should have broken you did not. Situations that could have derailed you only refined you. That endurance is not accidental. It is confirmation. No one attacks empty ground. Resistance always reveals proximity to purpose. God does not defend what he did not ordain. You are protected because the plan requires you intact. Here is a truth that will bring you peace. You are not the entire plan, and you were never meant to carry that pressure. You are the activating point within it. When you accept this, striving loosens its grip. Control relaxes. Faith deepens. Keys do not worry about the size of the door. They only focus on fit. God's master plan does not depend on your perfection. It depends on your alignment. When you are aligned, Grace fills the gaps. Wisdom covers mistakes. Timing corrects missteps. This is why obedience matters more than understanding. You do not need the full picture to be positioned correctly. You only need to remain responsive. Let me say this clearly and calmly. Your life is not random. Your delays were not failures. Your detours were not wasted. Everything has been moving you into exact alignment. The door you are meant to open will not require force. It will respond to who you have become. Rest in this truth. Chosen one. God never builds a master plan without a key, and he does not misplace what he carefully prepared. You are where you need to be, becoming what you need to become, for what is already set in motion. Remain still, remain faithful, remain aligned. When the time comes, the key will turn, and everything will change, not loudly, not chaotically, but exactly as it was always meant to. Section 3. Why you had to be formed in silence. Chosen one, let me speak to the part of you that grew tired of being quiet, the part that wondered why your life felt hidden while others were celebrated. Let me speak to the seasons you could not explain, the years that felt invisible, the moments when you questioned whether God was still paying attention. Silence was not abandonment. Silence was intention. God forms what he values away from noise. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is a workshop, and God does not shape keys in crowded rooms. He shapes them where there are no interruptions, no applause, no borrowed opinions, and no pressure to perform. What you experienced was not delay. It was development. You see, chosen one, noise creates imitation. Silence creates originality. If your life had been loud too early, you would have been shaped by expectations instead of truth. You would have learned how to please people instead of how to obey God. You would have confused attention with alignment. God protected you from that by hiding you. This is why so much of your growth happened when no one was watching. You learned lessons without witnesses. You matured without validation. You endured without recognition. That kind of formation builds strength that does not depend on praise. You often felt isolated. Even when you were around people, you felt alone. Conversations felt shallow. Connections felt temporary. You sensed a gap between how you saw the world and how others moved through it. That was not arrogance. That was awareness developing in silence. God separated you before he elevated you. Not everyone can walk with you while you are being formed. Too many voices interfere with clarity. Too much access weakens discernment. God simplified your environment so he could strengthen your direction. You lost people you thought would stay, not because you were unworthy, but because their role was seasonal. Silence removes attachments that cannot survive growth. It reveals who is aligned with your becoming and who was only comfortable with your past. This was painful. You questioned yourself. You replayed conversations. You wondered if you did something wrong. But often, the silence was not correction. It was protection. God was teaching you how to stand without leaning. In silence, you learned how to sit with your own thoughts. That was uncomfortable at first. Distractions fell away. Old wounds surfaced. Unanswered questions echoed. But healing does not happen through avoidance. It happens through confrontation. God brought you into silence so you could face what noise helped you escape. You confronted your fears, fear of failure, fear of responsibility, fear of being seen, fear of being misunderstood. Silence does not soften fear. It exposes it, and exposure is the first step toward freedom. You also confronted your motives. Why you wanted certain things, why recognition mattered, why approval felt necessary. Silence stripped your intentions down to their core. What remained was what God could use. This is why silence felt heavy. It was doing deep work. Chosen one, God does not reveal purpose until identity is stable. If you do not know who you are without applause, recognition will destroy you. If you do not know who you are without agreement, influence will confuse you. Silence grounded you. You learned discernment in silence. You learned when to speak and when to stay quiet. You learned how to listen for God's voice instead of reacting to every opinion. That skill will protect you later when noise returns. Because make no mistake, silence does not last forever. But when noise comes again, it will no longer control you. In silence, you learned patience. Not passive waiting, but steady endurance. You learned how to keep going without constant reassurance. How to trust without visible results. How to remain faithful when nothing seemed to move. These lessons are not optional for chosen ones. They are foundational. You also learned humility in silence, not humiliation, but grounded awareness. You were never allowed to feel superior. Even when you knew more, saw more, sensed more, you remained teachable. That humility kept your heart open and your spirit flexible. God resists pride because pride breaks alignment. Silence keeps pride from growing. There were moments when you prayed and felt nothing, when answers did not come quickly, when heaven felt quiet. That silence was not distance. It was depth. God was teaching you how to trust Him without emotional feedback. Faith that depends on feeling is fragile. Faith that survives silence is strong. You also learned boundaries in silence. You realized not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Not every question requires an answer. Not every demand requires compliance. Silence taught you that peace increases when access decreases. This is why you stopped over-explaining, why you became more selective with words, why you learned that clarity is not always produced by talking. Sometimes it is preserved by restraint. God was strengthening your inner authority. Silence also refined your sensitivity. You became more aware of shifts in atmosphere, more attuned to inconsistency, more sensitive to misalignment. That sensitivity is not weakness, it is perception. But God had to teach you how to manage it. In silence, you learned how to feel deeply without drowning, how to observe without absorbing everything, how to care without carrying what is not yours. That emotional discipline will protect you when responsibility increases. You were also being trained to be comfortable without visibility. That matters more than you realize. Many people crumble when attention fades. You learned how to remain steady without it. That steadiness will keep you grounded when attention returns. Let me speak directly to the loneliness you felt. Loneliness is not always the absence of people. Sometimes it is the absence of alignment. You were surrounded at times but not understood. That gap hurt, but it also refined you. God allowed loneliness so you would learn where your true companionship comes from. When people could not reach you, God did. When voices faded, His became clearer. That connection is priceless. You learned how to hear God personally, not through borrowed faith, not through constant signs, but through steady inner conviction. That kind of relationship cannot be rushed. It grows in quiet spaces. Silence also revealed your resilience. You endured seasons you never thought you could survive. You adapted. You grew. You remained intact. That endurance is not accidental. It is evidence of inner strength. You may not feel strong, but strength is often quiet. Think about this. If your life had unfolded loudly, you might have mistaken excitement for calling. You might have followed momentum instead of direction. Silence slowed you down enough to choose wisely. God is not impressed by speed. He is committed to accuracy. There were times when you wanted God to hurry, to reveal more, to move faster. But God saw what you could not. He saw the version of you that needed more grounding, more healing, more clarity. Silence gave Him room to do that work. You were not forgotten. You were being fortified. This is why you are different now. Quieter, but clearer. Calmer, but stronger. Less reactive, more discerning. You do not chase like you used to. You do not prove like you used to. You do not panic like you used to. Silence changed you. You may still be in that hidden season, or you may be standing at its edge. Either way, do not despise it. Honor it. It shaped you in ways noise never could. When God brings you forward, you will not need to announce yourself. Your presence will carry weight. Your words will carry depth. Your decisions will carry clarity. That is the mark of something formed in silence. Remember this, chosen one. Seeds grow underground. Foundations are laid beneath the surface. Keys are shaped where no one sees. When the moment comes, no one questions their effectiveness. Silence did not weaken you. It strengthened you. Silence did not delay you. It prepared you. Silence did not mean God was absent. It meant he was close enough to work deeply. And when the door finally opens, you will realize that everything you needed was placed inside you during the quiet. You will stand steady, not because the moment is easy, but because you were formed well. That is why you had to be shaped in silence. Section 4. The burden you carry is proof of your position. Chosen one, pause for a moment and let your breath settle. The weight you feel is not imagined, and it is not accidental. You have been carrying something that others around you do not seem to notice or feel. A quiet heaviness, a sense of responsibility that does not switch off. A depth of concern that follows you even when life appears calm. I want you to understand this clearly. That burden is not weakness, it is proof of your position. God does not place weight on fragile structures, he reinforces before he entrusts. The reason you feel more is because you are aware of more. Awareness always carries weight. Ignorance feels light, but it lacks depth. You were not built for surface living. You were built to hold understanding without breaking. Many chosen ones mistake this burden for emotional imbalance. They tell themselves they should feel lighter, happier, less serious. They compare themselves to others who seem carefree and unbothered, but those comparisons miss something important. God assigns weight only to those who can carry it without collapsing. You were trusted. This burden did not appear overnight. It grew as your awareness grew, as your discernment sharpened, as your sensitivity increased. You began noticing what others overlooked. You felt tension before words were spoken. You sensed when something was off, even if everything looked fine on the surface. That perception is not random. It is responsibility developing. You also noticed that you could not detach easily. Even when you tried to care less, something inside you resisted. You felt accountable for outcomes you did not create. You carried concern for people who did not carry you back. You held space for others while your own exhaustion went unseen. That is not imbalance. That is assignment. God does not burden the careless. He burdens the trustworthy. There were seasons when you asked God to remove this heaviness. You wanted relief. You wanted ease. You wanted to feel light like others seem to feel. But God does not remove weight that builds strength. He teaches you how to carry it without strain. There is a difference between being crushed and being anchored. This burden slowed you down in ways that protected you. It made you think before acting. It made you cautious where others were impulsive. It forced you to listen before speaking. These are not limitations, they are safeguards. People who move lightly often move inaccurately. You were trained to move with precision. You may have noticed that pretending drains you. You cannot fake enthusiasm. You cannot ignore injustice. You cannot overlook misalignment. Your spirit reacts strongly to what is off. That reaction is not instability, it is calibration. You are tuned to notice what others dismiss because your role requires accuracy. This burden also kept you humble. You were never allowed to feel invincible. Confidence came slowly. Pride never settled comfortably in you. You questioned yourself often. That questioning was not insecurity. It was self-awareness being refined. God protects his plan by placing it in people who examine themselves. people who reflect, people who remain teachable. This burden prevented you from becoming careless with influence you have not yet seen. You also carry grief that is not always visible. Grief for what could have been. Grief for relationships that did not last. Grief for versions of yourself you had to release. That grief matured you. It deepened your compassion. It softened your judgment. Comfort does not produce that kind of depth. Weight does. Let me say something important. If you did not carry this burden, you would not be able to hold what is coming. Expansion without internal strength collapses. God strengthens the inside before he expands the outside. That is why the weight came first. This burden taught you empathy. You understand pain without needing explanation. You notice shifts in mood and energy. You sense when someone needs space or support. That awareness will matter later. Responsibility requires wisdom, not just action. You may have tried to escape this burden by staying busy, by distracting yourself, by lowering expectations, but it always returned. Because it is not external, it is part of your design. You were built to carry something meaningful. Here is where relief comes in. God does not expect you to carry it alone forever. This weight is seasonal in its intensity. As alignment completes, the load redistributes. Purpose brings clarity. Clarity brings peace. But before peace settles, awareness increases, and awareness feels heavy. Do not resent this season. It is strengthening you quietly. The weight you feel now will become the stability you stand on later. Others will lean on what once made you tired. Let me speak to your exhaustion gently. You are not tired because you are failing. You are tired because you have been carrying more than you realized. That awareness itself is growth. God is teaching you how to pace yourself, how to rest without guilt, how to trust without control. This burden is not meant to crush you. It is meant to anchor you. It keeps you grounded while others drift. It keeps you thoughtful while others rush. It keeps you steady while others react. You are not broken. You are bearing responsibility before recognition. God always strengthens before he reveals. He deepens before he elevates. He prepares before he announces. So when the heaviness returns, do not fight it. Do not shame it. Acknowledge it. Breathe through it. Ask God for balance, not escape. Because what he placed on you was intentional. This burden is proof that God sees you as capable of discernment, capable of leadership, capable of holding influence without being corrupted by it. That is not a small thing. You are not meant to be light-minded. You are meant to be steady, and steady people change environments without noise. Carry it a little longer, not in strain, but in trust. Because soon, the weight that trained you will support you. And you will realize that what once felt heavy was shaping you to stand exactly where God needs you to be. Section 5. When God uses you, others may not understand you. Chosen one, this is a truth that matures you once you truly accept it. When God begins to use you, understanding from others is not guaranteed. In fact, misunderstanding often becomes part of the process. Not because you are wrong, not because you failed, but because divine alignment does not always make sense to those who are not walking the same path. God never promised that people would understand you. He promised that he would guide you, and those two things are very different. You likely noticed this early. The more aligned you became, the less you fit into familiar spaces. Conversations that once felt natural began to feel draining. Environments that once felt comfortable started to feel restrictive. People who once supported you became distant, confused, or even critical, and you wondered what changed. You did. Not for the worse, for the deeper. Alignment changes your posture, your priorities, your energy. And when that happens, it disrupts expectations. People are often comfortable with who you were, not who you are becoming. Growth challenges familiarity. At first, you tried to explain yourself. You softened your words. You justified your decisions. You tried to reassure people that you were still the same person. But the more you explained, the more exhausted you became. Because explanation requires shared perspective, and not everyone is meant to share your perspective. That exhaustion was your first signal. Explaining yourself was pulling you out of alignment. Chosen one, hear this clearly. You were never assigned to be understood by everyone. You were assigned to be obedient. The moment you start needing permission to follow God, your calling begins to weaken. A key does not explain itself to the door. It simply fits, or it does not. God does not ask keys to negotiate their shape. He designed them with intention. When you understand this, you stop trying to reduce yourself to fit spaces God never designed for you. This is why misunderstanding followed you, not because you were unclear, but because your clarity did not match their expectations. You were not becoming distant. You were becoming discerning. You were not withdrawing out of pride. You were conserving your energy for what mattered. But to those who benefited from your availability, boundaries looked like rejection. That is one of the hardest lessons for chosen ones. When you begin to protect your alignment, some people will feel excluded. Not because you pushed them away, but because you no longer give unrestricted access. And access is often mistaken for love. You were not rejecting people. You were rejecting misalignment. God was teaching you that availability is not the same as obedience. You can be present and still be out of position. You can be helpful and still be misaligned. God does not reward busyness. He rewards faithfulness. This is why people misunderstood your silence. They assumed you were hiding something, that you were changed, that you were distant. But your silence was not avoidance. It was wisdom. You learned that not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every feeling needs to be explained. Not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. Silence became your shield. Chosen one, you must understand this. Explaining yourself to people who are not aligned with your assignment drains your spirit. It pulls you into defensiveness. It shifts your focus from obedience to approval, and approval is a moving target. God was teaching you to let fruit speak louder than words. There is a season where your life explains itself better than your mouth ever could. But before that season arrives, misunderstanding is common, even necessary. It keeps you from depending on validation too early. Think about this calmly. If everyone understood you immediately, you would be shaped by consensus instead of calling. Resistance confirms distinction, and distinction is required for impact. This is why chosen ones often feel lonely, even in rooms full of people. It is not arrogance. It is awareness. You see layers others are not yet ready to see. You carry responsibility others have not accepted. That difference creates distance. You may have felt tempted to shrink, to lower your voice, to soften your convictions, to become more agreeable so you could belong again. But every time you tried, something inside you resisted. Peace left. Restlessness returned. That was your spirit refusing to abandon alignment. You were never meant to be easily digestible. You were meant to be effective. God does not design you to fit everywhere. He designs you to fit where you are assigned. And assignment often comes before agreement. This is also why people projected onto you. They labeled you cold, distant, intense, changed. But projection says more about their discomfort than your direction. When your alignment exposes misalignment, it creates tension. And tension seeks explanation. But explanation is not always your responsibility. Chosen one, let me release you from something heavy. You are not responsible for managing other people's perceptions of your obedience. You are responsible for staying aligned with God. That alone is a full assignment. People often understand you later. After the door opens, after the results appear, after the season shifts. Retrospective clarity comes easily. But during preparation, misunderstanding is normal. Even those closest to you may not understand your decisions. not because they lack love, but because they lack perspective. Familiarity can blind people to growth. This is why God sometimes separates chosen ones from environments that know them too well. Familiar labels limit future movement. Silence removes old definitions. You may have felt tempted to isolate completely, to pull away from everyone, to protect yourself from constant misunderstanding. But God is not calling you to isolation, He is calling you to discernment. There is a difference. Not everyone leaves your life. Some relationships remain, others fade naturally. Do not force either. God handles separation gently when you stop resisting it. He does not remove people through chaos. He allows alignment to create distance on its own. As you matured, you may have noticed that you stopped arguing, stopped defending, stopped correcting assumptions, not because you gave up, but because you gained clarity. You realized that peace matters more than being right. That is growth. You also realized that being misunderstood does not diminish your value. It often confirms that God is doing something specific with you. When your life no longer fits old categories, confusion follows. God is not confused. This is why peace became your confirmation. When a decision brought peace, even if others disagreed, you knew you were aligned. When something disturbed your peace, even if it was popular, you learned to step back. Peace became your compass. Chosen one, you must trust that compass. God does not guide through chaos. He guides through clarity, and clarity often feels quiet, not dramatic. There will be moments when misunderstanding hurts, when assumptions sting, when distance feels unfair. Do not harden your heart. Softness and boundaries can coexist. Compassion and obedience are not opposites. You can love people without living for their approval. This balance takes time to learn. And you have been learning it slowly, through experience, through disappointment, through letting go. God was teaching you how to stand without applause. Because here is the truth. When God fully activates what He placed in you, explanations will no longer be necessary. Results speak a language everyone understands. But until then, you must resist the urge to prove yourself. Proving creates pressure. Alignment creates peace. Let others misunderstand for now. Misunderstanding is temporary. Calling is permanent. Opinions change. Purpose remains. You were not meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be positioned correctly. And position, once set, speaks louder than any explanation ever could. Walk gently. Speak when led. Be silent when needed. Do not chase validation. Do not resent those who cannot see you clearly yet. They are limited by perspective, not intention. God sees you fully. He understands the obedience no one applauded. He understands the boundaries you set. He understands the loneliness you carried without complaint. That understanding matters more than public agreement. Chosen one, release the need to be explained. Release the need to be seen prematurely. Rest in the truth that misunderstanding does not disqualify you. It often confirms alignment. When the time comes, those who misunderstood you will recognize that what they could not understand was never meant to be explained. It was meant to be revealed. And revelation always arrives in its own season. Section 6. The moment you stop running, the plan begins. Chosen one, there is a quiet truth God has been waiting for you to understand. He does not chase you, He positions you. And the moment you stop running, the plan begins to move with clarity. Running does not always look like rebellion. Sometimes it looks like busyness. Sometimes it looks like overthinking. Sometimes it looks like trying to perfect yourself before obedience. You told yourself you were preparing, improving, waiting for the right version of you to arrive. But beneath that effort, there was fear. Fear of responsibility. Fear of visibility. Fear of carrying what you already sensed was coming. God saw that fear, and He did not punish you for it. He allowed you time. Time to realize that running does not remove assignment. It only delays peace. You were never running away from God. You were running from the weight of what obedience would require. You knew that once you fully surrendered, you could not pretend anymore. You could not go back to comfort disguised as safety. Obedience closes certain exits permanently. That is why surrender feels intimidating. Not because God is harsh, but because alignment is honest. It removes excuses. It removes hiding places. It brings your life into focus. Chosen one, understand this clearly. God does not activate his plan when you feel fearless. He activates it when you are willing to trust him more than your understanding, willing to move without full visibility, willing to stop negotiating terms. The running often came from a desire to control outcomes. You wanted assurance before movement, confirmation before commitment. But God works the other way. He gives clarity after obedience, not before. Faith is not a feeling. It is alignment in motion. You may have noticed that no matter how far you ran, the same themes followed you, the same lessons, the same inner conviction, the same sense of being called forward. That is because calling is not location-based. You cannot outrun what is placed within you. Every time you slowed down, the truth caught up. Every time you rested, God's voice grew clearer. That is not coincidence. Stillness removes interference. It allows alignment to settle naturally. Let me remove a fear you may still be carrying. Surrender does not mean losing yourself. It means becoming whole. God does not erase your personality. He purifies your direction. He does not strip your desires. He aligns them. Many chosen ones resist surrender because they think God will take something away. But God only removes what drains you. What he gives replaces anxiety with peace, confusion with clarity, resistance with stability. You were never meant to force the plan. Plans that come from God unfold with ease, even when they are challenging. Struggle comes from resistance, not from assignment. When you fight alignment, everything feels heavy. When you settle into it, weight redistributes. Notice how your life began to simplify when you stopped running. How unnecessary distractions lost their grip. How your tolerance for chaos decreased. That is alignment working quietly. God is not asking you to rush into action. He is asking you to stop fleeing responsibility disguised as delay. Stillness is not inactivity. It is readiness without panic. You may feel like you are standing at a threshold now, not fully moving, not fully resting. That tension is transition. It is the space where old patterns release and new direction settles. Do not rush through it. Do not retreat from it. This is where trust deepens, where faith becomes posture instead of effort, where obedience becomes natural instead of forced. God does not activate keys that are unstable. That is why he waited until you were tired of running. Not physically tired, but spiritually tired of resisting. That fatigue is surrender forming. Let me say something gently. You do not need to figure everything out. You do not need to anticipate every outcome. God does not reveal the entire path at once because clarity grows with movement. Direction sharpens as you align. You are not being asked to leap blindly. You are being asked to stand still long enough to hear clearly. When you stop running, your discernment strengthens. Fear quiets. Peace becomes your signal. And when peace arrives, movement becomes effortless. Chosen one, God's plan does not chase you down. It waits for you to face it, not with bravado, not with certainty, but with trust. The moment you stop running is not dramatic. It is quiet, subtle. It feels like acceptance, like exhaling after holding your breath too long. That is when the plan begins. Not because God needed you to be ready, but because you finally allowed yourself to trust that he already prepared you. Stay here, in this stillness, in this honesty. Let alignment settle fully, because once it does, you will move forward not out of pressure, but out of peace. And peace chosen one, is the surest sign that the plan is active. Section 7. You are not too late. You are right on time. Chosen one, this is where many hearts ache silently. Not because of lack of faith, but because of time. The quiet question that rises when everything goes still. Did I miss it? Am I behind? Did I take too long? Let me answer you without hesitation. You are not too late. You are right on time. God does not operate on human clocks. He is not pressured by calendars, birthdays, deadlines, or comparisons. Time bends around his purpose. What feels delayed to you often means aligned to him, and alignment always matters more than speed. You were never racing anyone. You were being prepared. Preparation takes the time it takes. No more, no less. If God had released you earlier, you would have arrived before you were ready, and readiness matters more than arrival. Think about this calmly. If something arrives before it can be sustained, it collapses. God does not rush what must endure. That is why he let time stretch. That is why he allowed pauses you did not understand. That is why some doors closed instead of opening when you were eager. Those closures were mercy. You often measured your life against others, their progress, their visibility, their milestones. And every comparison left you feeling behind. But comparison assumes identical assignments. You were never given one. Your path was customized. Your pace was intentional. Your timing was precise. God delayed you until distractions fell away, until ego softened, until motives clarified, until your faith matured beyond needing constant reassurance. That is not punishment. That is precision. You are being protected from arriving too early. Chosen ones often carry regret quietly. Regret for decisions they wish they handled differently. Regret for seasons they feel they wasted. Regret for times they hesitated. But regret assumes that God stopped working when you stumbled. He did not. God weaves obedience and mistakes together into purpose. Nothing is wasted when surrendered. Even detours serve refinement. Even hesitation teaches discernment. Even fear builds humility. You did not fall behind. You were learning. There is a peace that comes when you accept this truth. You stop replaying old moments. You stop punishing yourself for what you did not know then. You stop judging past versions of yourself with present awareness. Growth requires grace. God does not hold your past against you. He redeems it, he uses it, he folds it into wisdom. The very experiences you regret are now tools you will use to help others. Timing is not about being early. It is about being ready. You are standing where you are because this is the first moment you can carry what comes next without losing yourself. Earlier versions of you were sincere, but not yet stable. Faithful, but still fragile. Willing, but not yet anchored. God waited because he loves you. You may feel urgency now, a sense that something is near. That urgency is not panic. It is readiness. There is a difference. Panic rushes. Readiness steadies. When God moves, he does not shout. He aligns. Things begin to make sense quietly. Opportunities appear without forcing. Conversations shift. Inner clarity deepens. That is timing activating. You are not late to your life. You are arriving when you can finally stay. Many chosen ones burn out because they arrive before they are rooted. God rooted you deeply first. That is why you feel calmer now, less reactive, more discerning. That maturity did not come overnight. It came through time. Time did not delay you. It trained you. Let go of the idea that your life should look a certain way by now. That expectation was never from God. It was inherited pressure. God does not compare. He completes. You will notice that when the moment comes, it will feel natural. Not rushed, not forced. You will not need to convince yourself. Peace will confirm it. Readiness will steady you. Clarity will guide you. That is how you know you are on time. Chosen one, the enemy loves to use time to create shame. God uses time to create strength. Shame says you should have known better. God says you learned what you needed. Shame says you missed it. God says it is arriving now. Do not look back with regret. Look forward with trust. The door you are meant to open did not appear until you were shaped to open it. That door could not respond to an earlier version of you. You are not catching up. You are stepping in. This moment feels different because it is different. You are not chasing anymore. You are not proving. You are not rushing. You are present, aware, grounded. That is readiness. God never releases purpose into chaos. He releases it into stability. And stability takes time to build. So rest in this truth. You did not miss anything meant for you. What is meant for you is arriving with you, together, in order, without panic. You are not late. You are aligned, and alignment, chosen one, always arrives exactly when it should.